Okay, family, as you can see, we are live now. And so, if you're going to be joining this stream tonight, make sure you are sharing. You're sharing. As you can see, we're live. Our signal is not on. And yeah, in a couple of minutes, we are going to start the conversation. So, if you're the first person to watch us here to get Mr. Fongod here in studio, please make sure you're sharing on your multiple platforms. We have so much to hold on, to catch on, to discuss today. And I hope all of you are doing well. I know it's a surprise for most people who haven't seen me live for a while, but that's not an issue, isn't it? Because we are in the global family. And I want to see the chat family get settled inside here. Thank you so much for connecting. I can already see we're almost 50, but that's too less. You know how much. You know how much we do. So probably I know a lot of people still gonna be waiting for the signal. So let me give them this. You are watching the Pan-African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tatah. The Africa we want. Unity, consciousness, our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherland's calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers on the Pan-African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa. Okay, people. I see, I think there's some people watching us live from the Pan-African Daily TV Facebook page. Family, are you there? I can already see how many people in the comments in the chat here. Oh, okay. I think now I see someone here. Hello, Bishop. Wow. Okay, so I think our guest apparently is also a bishop that I didn't know. Honestly speaking, I didn't know. Cynthia Bass is also saying, hello, Bishop, Evelyn, Bayadan. Thank you so very much for connecting. I mean, yes, your Bishop is live on the Pan-African Daily.
We have a lot.
We have a lot to talk about. Anyway, and the Pan-African Daily TV is connecting, and a lot of people, just let me know. You know, the tradition out here is, where are you connecting from? Where are you connecting from? That's my son from Boya, Tico. Thank you so much. I love you too, Precious. I love you, Tikia. Wonderful. We are here for our bestie. Okay, Evelyn. Wonderful. It's going to be a hot conversation today, and I can see all the besties are in the house. It looks like I'm going to hold me a backup right here. Like, I'm going to hold a backup, because the way I see the besties are coming in is like they want to take over. And you can imagine if our chat room, I can see Cheryl, I can see Snovia, please. I can see Kojo. Cheryl is in the house from Brooklyn. Thank you, Cheryl. Yeah, Annette Edwards, thank you. You say hi, family. Wow. Today we have something very, very special, unusual on the Pan-African Daily TV. As you can see, our brother, scholar here, this is a first time all-seasoned Pan-African guest. Okay, he's a Pan-Africanist, but he's the first time on Pat TV. And I've been arguing and quarreling with him a lot, right? He just has some kind of subtle kind of intelligence. I don't know how I can even describe this one, because I mean, we have our guests, we're so used to, we know how, we flow with them. We already know what their topics are. But when I say a first time guest is coming from a multi, he's a CEO, founder of Creston currency, the latest digital currency that is going to be the future, is beating up any other currency. He's going to tell us about that. But you see, his besties are already calling him Bishop. That I didn't know. So probably he's also a bishop. And I think we still have to find out. We'll still have to find out a lot about that. I know him like a Pan-African. To be honest with this brother here, he's the first person that actually, got me start thinking. He had some crazy stuff on YouTube, and I went through it. It was mind blowing. Who told you I ever knew about the slave stories and stuff like this? But honestly speaking, Mr. Stanley FONGOD here blew my mind with a couple of videos, and luckily I have a girlfriend. I have a girlfriend in the Netherlands who actually helped me, and I think she's related to the FONGOD, and I had to lay hands on him. And so, what am I trying to say? He comes from a different kind of background, but very inspirational, very strong. But one thing that you just don't want to know about him is like, this is the guy that is going to give us the Pan African Daily TV. Can you imagine that? Whether it is in terms of satellite or whatever, I don't even know how he called those stuff. Most of them, I can't even keep it on my mind, okay? So, but he is the one. Greetings, greetings, Novia. Thank you, Kinam Omo. You say Queen Tatah. Yes, my king. Thank you. I hope all of you are placed in the house. We want to just have a conversation with Mr. FONGOD here for the first time, because from what I see and from what I know him, he's really going to be one of our sustainable guests here, right? He has a whole lot. Hey, people, he has a whole lot. I don't know what you want to greet him first, and then we get into the conversations, isn't it? Over to you, Stanley. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for inviting me. And of course, I'm a fan of the show. And I've been watching, I think, right from its inception. So I've watched this literally grow into what it is now, and the viewership has quadrupled daily. And I am truly excited, and I can't wait to see what we do next, especially taking this to every single house on the continent of Africa and to the Africans in the diaspora. I think that will be truly amazing. So I'm ready, and I think we should do it.
Synovia, where are you hearing the echo from? Is it from my side or from Stanley? Type it in the comment. Where are you hearing the echo?
Is that an echo?
Yes, in the chat. Maybe. Tell us where the echo is coming from. All right, in the comment, you could share with us from the guest. Cheryl says it's a double sound. All right, I get that from the guest. I don't know. Are you wearing earpiece?
Me?
Yeah, you wearing.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Do you think that could be coming from there?
I am not sure.
So guest mute YouTube. Wait.
Quite interesting. No, but my sound is. I should be. Let's see. Hold on.
Okay, just let us know if everything gets better. Okay. But in the meantime, I just want to thank all of you that are connecting and watching. Wherever you're watching us from, please drop your comments so we can know which of our platforms are responsive, which one not. Go ahead, Stanley. Test. Let's hear.
Okay. Is it okay now?
I mean, the guy has multiple kind of microphones in his studio.
Is it okay?
Sharon, is it okay? Synovia, Imhotep, Cynthia. Is it okay? Go ahead again.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, of course. Only yet that if I'm talking. So, I was wondering if my sound is okay or if there is some kind of an echo.
It's a little vibration from Evelyn. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, that's strange because me, I don't hear any. I mean, I'm in the back, even in the backstage and everything. Everything's cool with us here. So I don't know where the vibration and the noise is coming. But could you follow him? When he's speaking, can you hear what he's saying? Echo. What?
Echo.
And from the guest. Because honestly, you speak so clear to me here. So you mean like when he's saying something, you don't get anything, you don't hear him? That wouldn't make sense, isn't it? That would not make sense if you can hear him.
Wow. But I hear you clearly, and I'm looking at my stuff here. I don't think I have any issues.
All right, I think that's from the side of the guest, but yes, double, yes, echo from the gentleman, yes, from Stanley. No clear at all.
It's not clear.
Not clear. Please, can the guest remove his microphone? Like how? We hear him, but sounds like he has a twin. No, we hear him, but an echo that is disruptive. Oh, Regina, thank you so much. You guys are so cool.
Hold on one second. Let me try something.
Okay. Mike.
Just
all right.
1 second. Let's see something here.
All right. While we are adjusting, please, you know that this event is coming.
Despite last year's 2002 challenges due to administrative and security constraints, Africa Festival Germany Tübingen, the African Diaspora Cultural Festival, Umoja wa Afrika, announces its epic editions 2023 and 2024. This year, from June 1st to 4th, 2023, the International Meeting of African Diaspora Intelligences in Germany, Tübingen. And next year, from June 6th to 9th, 2024, with new features and many surprises. So save the date and be a sponsor. Can't wait to welcome you all soon, very soon in Germany, Tübingen. More info and registrations at www.africafestival-international.org.
All right, so that was a short commercial about the Diaspora Cultural Festival taking place, or we call it the mobilization platform for all Pan-African movements and projects taking place from the diaspora to the continent. So if you want to register, you can just go on www.africafestival-international.com. So can you say something again, Stan?
Yeah, I was wondering if this is okay. I just kind of switch my mics around.
This should be okay. Yeah, Kasila K. That's the queen that is going to rock the family in Tübingen. Now, tell me something, people. What about the microphone now? Because we're going to get into this conversation. Because we have a lot.
Is it okay now?
We have a lot to talk about. I mean, what's this chat? Same. Better.
Is it okay?
No, come on. Emotep, when you say same, I think you are something else. You want to hear something from me today, Heru. Heru, you want to hear something from me today. Kojo, what about the microphone? Is it okay? Because I hear him. I don't have
maybe I
nothing.
should be saying something. I'm hoping that the mics are good. I hope that you guys can hear me.
I don't know where they said the double echo. Sounds like little twin. Anyway, we are going to just listen and get used to this thing when he's speaking. When he speaks, it's still.
Okay.
Okay, that's what they say. I know.
Is it okay now?
I'm moving my family. We're back in power. Looking forward to listening to our King Stanley FONGOD. Yes. Thank you so much for that you're doing. All right. I think we have to get into the conversation. He just has to. It's much better. Cheryl said it's much better. Thank you, Cheryl.
Okay, it's much better. Okay.
All right. Please just bear with us. You see, these are the kind of things that we need to do. The mic is bad. Why are you saying that? The echo is still on.
The mic is bad?
But we will try to listen hard. No, this is not
quite interesting.
This is weird because we cannot struggle to listen to a FONGOD right here. Honestly speaking, this guest, he has everything that we need to understand. We need to understand. Do you just want to check on something again?
I am a little bit interesting. Hold on one second. Let me.
It's okay.
Some back into.
All right. Let me get back to.
Malgré les défis liés aux contraintes administratives et sécuritaires de l'année 2022, Africa Festival Germany Tübingen, le festival culturel de la diaspora africaine au Umoja wa Afrika, annonce ses dates pour les éditions 2023 et 2024. En 2023, du 1er au 4 juin 2023, rencontre internationale des intelligences de la diaspora africaine à Tübingen en Allemagne. Et en 2024, du 6 au 9 juin 2024, avec des nouveautés et plein d'autres surprises. Alors, notez bien les rendez-vous et devenez partenaires. Nous sommes impatients de vous accueillir bientôt, très bientôt, à Tübingen en Allemagne. Inscription et plus d'infos sur www.africafestival-international.org.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I hope this is better. I don't know whether this is good. I've literally turned off almost everything in the setting.
Is it okay, people? Gerald say, I hear you very well from the USA. Thank you, Gerald. So what about Stanley when he speaks?
Yeah,
is it
I think
okay?
that should be me. If that's good, I do not know.
All right, Stanley, just go on. So who are you? What have you been doing? I mean, like I said, you are one of our biggest Pan-Africans that I got to know. Just tell the audience who you are. And
All right. My name is Stanley FONGOD, and I am a Pan-African at heart and somebody who is extremely very interested in seeing all the Africans in the diaspora and those back at home become united in a common front to be able to push the agenda of the African into at least what we now consider to be the fourth industrial revolution. I do believe sincerely that we have been left behind. A lot of things have happened to the African over the course of human history that has become one of the dark chapters, of the African. I don't think that there is any secret as to our history in relationship to racism, in relationship to slavery. Almost every other culture have been enslaved, but that of the African has been extremely difficult. And so I'm hoping that we can be able to look at that and also look at what we can be able to achieve as Africans, especially as we move forward, trying to create a united front for the African and having the dreams of Marcus Garvey fully fulfilled in our own time.
thank you so very much. It's really crazy how we have to strain to hear such really interesting message at this time, but please just bear with me. Like I said, Stan is the one that is going to be build our studio. Now, if you can look at the difference, look at my light, look at his own, look at our visuals. You can see that mine is a kind of a flowy, but his is actually like clean. What do you think is the problem, Stan?
I have no idea. I'm wondering whether it should be on your site. I am wondering if it's from your side. I'm looking at everything here to see. Yeah.
Wait. On my side, he has to plug a mic in and move away from the computer. What? No, I don't think. Like you said,
It's not from you, right?
No, it's not from me. Because they hear the echo when you speak.
Or they hear the echo when I speak.
Am I correct? Is it from me or from the guest?
Interesting.
Honestly, it's really interesting because I hear you like one-on-one and even more perfect
you get me
than
clearly,
me.
right? The question is why?
I don't know whether I should refresh this stream here. Guest. Everybody's saying from the guest.
From the guest.
And that you should go away from the microphone, but you are not in the microphone easily. Okay.
I don't know. Is it better now?
Is it much better if he goes away from the microphone?
Is it better? Is it better now?
You are good to go. Guest.
Is it better now?
All right. Anyway, this
Is
is
it better?
yes,
Is it
yes,
better?
yes. They say yes. When you pull away from the microphone, they say
Oh,
it's very okay.
interesting. And there's supposed to
Honestly.
be a cancellation from the
Oh,
mic. That's okay.
okay.
All right.
Thank you, thank you. Right.
Okay, good.
Stanley, we want to get into this conversation where you talked about culture and we talked about culture and wealth creation, particularly in our African communities. I mean, when we talked about the issue that I think we African people actually are marginalized, no access to credit, our credit scores are bad, and the narratives even about the African community, be it on the continent, but we're focusing on the diaspora, particularly like in Germany. Oh no, you're not worthy, you're not credit worthy. You know, I try to see a kind of a discrimination, like this is a point that is stopping us from actually evolving, from progressing. But you were of the opinion that actually this has something to do with culture. Now the question goes back like, what are we doing differently from other cultures? Or what is your experience?
Well, I think there are two questions. So the first one that has to do with culture has nothing to do with the credit system. And so
we have to separate that the two. So the credit system, it's pretty much not, it's we don't have that on the African continent. So part of the reason to which it is that I launched the cryptocurrency that I run now, it's because I realized that in sub-Saharan Africa, the credit market was really non-existent. So if you look in sub-Saharan Africa, you don't have a credit market. We are absolutely in the dark when it comes to the credit market in sub-Saharan Africa. And of course, and the reason for that is because the credit rating system that is being used to fund businesses and startups in the US and in Europe, we do not have those same structures in sub-Saharan Africa. So it is extremely very difficult for those in Africa to be able to benefit from, the capital market. And secondly, we are on the African continent in this age and time, and we are talking about getting credit for business outside of the continent. That just tells us exactly how messed up we are, that we are not talking about of funding houses within the continent to be able to give us the funding that we need, but we are talking about funding houses outside of the continent, which in more ways is extremely very sad. So I am thinking that we should also be able to start thinking on how we can be able to create capital and a lot of money. Banks that are really good, like one of the things that I'm still struggling to deal with is to understand where the funding for the African Development Bank actually comes from. But we need to have such structures on the African continent to be able to spur up young entrepreneurs who will want to be able to get into the marketplace, be it in agriculture, be it in the tech space, to do so. And unfortunately, we do not have that. And as a result of that, we continue see a mass exodus of young people out of the continent looking for greener pastures outside of Africa, in Europe and in the United States of America. So that is primarily what is it that we are facing. And until we're able to change that, then things will really be difficult for the Africans. The second thing I was saying is that when it comes to culture, the notion about fighting racism with culture, racism with culture is extremely very important. And that is a parameter in which we must look at. If you have read any of Thomas Sowell, he's one of my biggest mentors, Thomas Sowell, you realize that the problem with coming to fight racism without the introduction of culture is completely very false. Look at, and in one of his books, he speaks of the fact that if you look at the African Americans that are in the South, okay, in the place like New Orleans, and you look at blacks also from the West Indies, the blacks from the West Indies are doing very well. but the blacks that are actually in New Orleans, they are not doing that well. And the disparity in terms of this has everything to do with culture. And the reason is because the blacks in New Orleans actually lost their African cultural heritage. They literally lost that. And even in the way they speak. And the reason is because they were literally enslaved and had to work with whites who were from the western part of England. And they had the same proclivities. They loved Jesus. They had very little desire for education, all right, and obviously they spoke in a certain way. The whole entire notion of Hebonics actually is from the western part of England, and the idea is that if we continue, all right, if we continue having without addressing the notion of culture, we will never truly get to the root cause as to what is happening. When any group loses their cultural identity, they literally will have to adopt another cultural identity, and so are the blacks in the South. And based upon Thomas Howell, that has actually adopted the culture of the blacks, of the whites, actually in the Southern Hemisphere of the North America. And so it is extremely very important to understand that even the whites in the western part of England has the same Hebonics, the same way in which the African Americans they speak the English in the South. That is the same way in which those in Britain, the whites in Britain actually speaks as well. If you look at Africans everywhere else, okay, we seems to have we have the same issues, of course, in terms of racism. But if you're going to look at Africans and you have to group them in relationship to those who have actually held on to some form of their Africanness, their culture, they seems to be doing a whole lot better. And that was the assertion that I was making. I'm also, I think that one of the thing that we also needs to look at is that we have to start finding ways in which we can be able to bring into our own circles, okay, be it whichever country you belong to or wherever you are, where the African is present, even in the diaspora or on the homeland, we have to find ways in which we start breeding a new set of young Africans with who are listening to teachers who have an Afrocentric mindset in the way in which they teach. And in that way, we start letting the young African understand that we are not just we are not just a product of slavery. I mean, almost every single time you get to talk to anyone out here in the United States, it's like it's all about slavery. The history and the story of the African does not begin with slavery. Our history and our story begins with greatness. And there was a time that the black man, okay, which is who we are, the Homo sapiens species, was the only person that was living on planet Earth. There used to be a race called the Neanderthals that occupied most of Europe, but that race got extinct about 40,000 years ago. So we do have, okay, everybody who is alive today, every human being that is alive today actually emerged from the African continent, whether it be black, it be it white, it doesn't matter. The different variations is totally irrelevant. All of us share the same mitochondrial DNA, which is basically mitochondria E for Eve, all right, we share the same mitochondrial DNA. And so the idea that we are different, or the idea that, we are subservient to a Caucasian, it's a little bit laughable if you understand the fact that we all actually are blacks and we all emerged out of this continent 160,000 years ago. So the history of the African is pretty much quite solid when it comes to who we are and what we've been able to achieve. Secondly, I'm also of the opinion that if you look at our own civilization, if you look at where we have evolved, how much we have evolved out of the African continent, we've evolved greatly. we've actually been able to do great things. I think that the African continent has literally given to the world almost every single thing. As I've listened to scholar after scholar after scholar, literally paint a very glorious picture as to the influence of African civilizations in Europe and the influence of African civilizations in the West. And obviously, I think it is no secret that the first time Black Africans were on continent USA is not because they came in through the boat. Okay, it was not a slave ship that brought the first Black Africans on this part of the hemisphere. Black Africans have migrated out of the continent of Africa for almost 300-400 years, and in some estimates for about 1,000 years before white Europeans ever had seaworthy vessels to be able to travel to these shores. And the notion that Columbus, okay, visiting the West Indies, actually discovered this nation, okay, it's archaeologically false. There is nothing that supports that. There were people here, there were Africans, okay, with civilizations that literally flourish in this part of the continent long before we had Europeans coming onto this part of the continent. And I think that the worst thing that could have happened to us has been the whole entire issue of slavery, where we have been kept in a position where we have been indoctrinated and our cultures have been taken away from us, and our cultures have been made to look inferior to Western cultures, and which is quite crazy. I think it's also very important to understand that Western civilization has only flourished as a result of Kemetic civilization. You can not be talking about Western civilization if you do not talk about Kemetic civilizations, because Western civilization is actually Greco-Roman civilization. So it is from there that every single thing else emerges so far as the West is concerned. But you have to understand that Greco-Roman civilization is literally Kemetic civilization. All right, so almost everything that was practiced in Rome and Greece literally was handpicked out of the continent of Africa. For you think about somebody like Pythagoras, for example, and you'd be asking yourself, what about Pythagoras? Well, with Pythagoras, he spent a lot of time in Kemet. All right, so almost every single thing that he learned came out of Kemet. It was Kemetic civilization. All right, before Archimedes came out with the value of pi, those in Egypt actually had been able to develop the value of pi so accurate to as 0.1. All right, I mean 1,000 years before Archimedes actually came out to give us the value of pi to be 3.14. All right, so the notion that somehow those who have emerged out of the continent of Africa has been weak. Those who have emerged out of the continent of Africa has been folks who have literally not been able to hold their own. Is not true. All right, throughout the whole entire continent, we have great civilizations that are just worthy. All right, from the eastern part of the continent of Africa to the southern part of the continent of Africa to the western part of the continent of Africa, it is clustered, all right, with great civilizations. And that is the most beautiful thing about who we are. If only we got to know a lot about our continent, if we just know a lot about these civilizations and what they meant to our people, and to fully understand that despite everything that the African has been through, we are still standing strong. Despite everything that the African has faced, we are still standing strong. And it is just our understanding as to what is it that we have been able to achieve that will make us everything that we're supposed to be. I am truly excited for the future of the continent. All right, I'm truly excited for the future of the continent. I believe that there's going to be what I call a tremendous move. Okay, and this tremendous move will be a renaissance. I call it the African Renaissance, for example. It will be a renaissance that will bring into light the not just the history of the African, but her capacity and her potential in all spheres of life, especially as we move into the fourth industrial revolution. We are literally at the throes of what I consider to be the biggest move, if only we are able to understand that we can no longer rely on the West. And there is no reason for us to rely on the West for anything. And I don't think that there is anything that the West can actually be able to offer so far as the African is concerned. We have everything that the West is looking for, right? We have everything right now that the West is looking for. There is a big push, okay, for green energy, and there's this green revolution that is taking over the West, okay? Most energy efficient cars, EV cars, electric vehicles, and everything else. And the most critical component that is needed to be able to give lithium batteries its capacity, okay, all of those is actually being mined out of the Congo. All right. And unfortunately, the Congo is also not at peace. And it is obviously big business for these nations to be at war, because obviously, mining cartels can come in and take everything that they want to take out of the continent with absolutely no repercussions whatsoever. That is the problem with the continent. And I know I probably might get into trouble saying this, but the reality is that one of the richest person on the African continent does not live in Nigeria. Okay, it's not in South Africa, it's not in Angola. One of the richest person on the African continent, okay, is actually in the DRC. And it's a Jewish guy. Who is one of the largest philanthropists, okay, for Jewish causes back home. And he owns almost all the mines in the DRC, and it's just what it is. But here we are, still trying to be able to talk about, how dark the continent is, and our little tiny petty differences why folks are looting the continent, okay, to the tune of like 100 tons a second. All right, that is how much Africa is being looted. All right, so we need to be able to come into a place where we fully understand who we are. We need to come into a place where we fully understand exactly our capacities on the continent. That being said, my whole entire goal, especially when it came to understanding the fourth industrial revolution technologies, was to be able to be in the blockchain domain. So I got into blockchain, and the idea was that I was involved in a couple of cryptocurrencies, and some of them were actually dubbed the Pan-African currency. My issue was for cryptocurrency to be meaningful, every cryptocurrency, the idea for a cryptocurrency, first of all, was to basically create a currency that was usable by the unbanked people of the world. It's a common technology phrase that is being used to talk about people who basically do not participate in the banking sector. So, but for that currency also to really have any kind of weight, a lot of people have to be using it because it's community driven. So the value of every cryptocurrency, for example, is community driven. So we have to come together as a community, and then, that would spur up its value, and obviously hoping for mass adoption and whatnot. But because it's also community driven, that simply means as people buy, the value of the currency goes up. But if people start selling or dumping, the value of the currency goes down. I met with a bunch of folks in 2017. I said, look, listen, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that we should be able to have this currency, okay, backed by gold. And the reason is because I have looked throughout history and I've realized that for any currency to be meaningful, all right, it must be backed by something. And gold was the only precious metal, all right, throughout history with such intrinsic value that gave it so much weight that it was so good. Number one, gold is scarce, all right? So gold is scarce. Number two, the cluster abundance of gold, that just simply means its concentration in the earth crust, is also very small. All right. So as compared to something like copper, the cluster abundance of copper is 5,000 times more than that of gold. No wonder the price of gold is 5,000 times more than that of copper. And so we had to look for a precious metal, okay, that has been tested by time. Number one, a metal that will have to outlast time, all right, and one that had a certain measure of difficulty in terms of mining, and which is gold. As the day goes by, it becomes extremely very difficult to mine gold. Just it is incredibly difficult to mine gold as time goes by. But you have to understand also that in relationship to having anything that should be able to be that priceless, that this whole entire thing saying that says that scarcity creates value, of course, it has to be rediscussed. It is not just good enough that the value is stated. It is not just good enough that it is a stated value like what we have with the US dollar, okay, or any other fiat currency. As far back as the 1930s and 20s, the dollar was literally backed up. Okay, it was backed by gold. But when politicians began thinking that they couldn't as much as spend as much money as they could get gold to back up whatever stuff that they were printing, they dumped the whole entire backed by gold thing and they went with the fiat system. Fiat, for the Latin, means by decree. So they went with this whole entire thing stating that, well, money will just be what they say money is, and it's not going to be backed by anything. So, which means that the Federal Reserve has this gigantic printer at the basement of that building, and that all they do is just print, all right? Because money, literally, as we speak, it's not really valued. It's not backed by anything, first of all. And so its value is stated. And that's the reason why the notion about inflation, okay, inflation will always be a major problem. And the reason is, as much as we keep printing, all right, as much as we keep printing money, and as we add the money into the already existing money pool, the value of the money that is in circulation basically drops, right? As you keep printing and printing and printing, as you add that into the already saturated system with the dollar, all right, cheap money. As you keep printing and printing, the value of the dollar in circulation drops. And that is exactly what inflation is all about, where you have a lot of money in circulation pursuing very few commodities. A lot of money pursuing very few commodities, then we are all in the area of inflation. And that is the biggest problem that we are facing right now, especially in the West. We're talking about banks, basically folding up. And the reason also is because of the bond market. I'm going to be able to talk about that, subsequently. We'll be talking about the bond market subsequently and as to what is going on. But without having a currency that is backed by gold, then we don't really have anything. In the crypto space, we have this whole entire stuff where value is community driven. I get that. But my idea was, why don't we have a currency that is not just community driven, is community driven plus it is backed by gold? That means that there is a baseline to which the value, even if it was descending, will never go past that. That brings about consumers' confidence in the currency. And number two, mass adoption becomes extremely possible because a lot of folks can be able to use this, knowing mindfully well that when they come back, all right, to be able, because normally money is supposed to be a store of value. All right, that's exactly what money is. It's a storehouse of value. So, what is the benefit for me having money that when I come back tomorrow, it would have disappeared? The value will completely not be there. And that is why gold is also very important, because if you look at gold in terms of its cluster abundance, gold is really not that much. Number one, in terms of its value, its intrinsic value, gold is absolutely amazing. All right. It can be used as a commodity as much as it can be used as a storer of value. And also it can be used in different applications in some cell phones. Certain connections needs gold. In satellite systems, they need gold. If they're setting a satellite to space, they need gold. But the general idea is when it comes to gold, you will not, there's not a day it's not corroding. Okay, so there's nothing about gold disappearing. It's not corroding. It's still going to be there. 1 gram will eventually be 0.0 something. It's still going to be a gram because it's not corroding. And number two, it's actually good because it can be used as a measure of weight. All right, it can be used as a measure of weight. These are things that were understood, by those in ancient times, and this is it was understood by those in Kemet. It was understood by those in the Malian Empire. It was understood by those in the Ghanaian Empire, in Makambubwe, in the southern hemisphere, in the southern part rather of Africa. That they understood that. They also understood this within the Great Walls of the Zimbabwe. They knew this. All right, these were all civilizations that strive very well, okay, with gold. As a matter of fact, some of the biggest battles ever fought, around the Nile was was about controlling the gold route. All right, as gold was being taken from inland of Africa and then heading out into the Arabias and also into Asia. So there has been a clear-cut understanding from time immemorial that gold has this intrinsic value, that it was really good and could be a very good storer of value because that's what they use it for in time past. They minted some and they use a lot of gold also for transactional purposes. I don't think that we can be talking about any civilization that is actually considered a real civilization if we do not talk about that civilization at some point having used, a precious metal as part of its monetary system. That is what has happened in the past, and there is no reason why we should not be able to go back to that now. The fundamental thing I find kind of a little bit difficult, or what will I say, kind of hard to understand, is how we have this whole entire concept that somehow we can keep printing money, and then we keep printing, and then, we'll print ourselves into prosperity. It's not going to happen. We must be able to have a currency that is backed by gold, be it the fiat, or be it any other digital currency. If you're in the digital space, as a matter of fact, just so you understand, there are close to more than 5,000 digital currencies right now. Everybody is popping up every single day, talking about the fact that they have their own currency. All right. So everybody has their own currency. That's fine. But it is as useless as anything else if that currency is literally not backed by gold. There has to be a legitimate backing to every currency. If you do have a currency that is not backed by gold, I'm kind of troubled by that. I'm troubled by that because primarily, if we are running away from the fiat, okay, the fiat system, which basically it's quite a new system, okay, which took over from the go back system, and we have seen exactly what the fiat system is able to do. The fiat system is absolutely not stable at all. If it was that stable, we will not be having, the high rate of inflation that we're having now. And the reason is because there is no check on how much money we can be able to print. A president can just get up right now and go to another country and says, I like the war you guys are fighting. Let me just give you guys as much money as I can. And, there's nothing. They just keep printing and printing and printing. The question is, what is happening to the already existing money that's in circulation? So we understand this, right? If you look at the US dollar, for example, there are these reserve currencies, okay, that are held by major reserves around the world. The dollar is about 60% of the reserve currencies held by reserves around the world. And they have to use that reserve currency for international trade, okay? That's the purpose for all of that. But recently, the number has dropped from the US ranking, or the ranking of the US dollar has dropped from about 60%, and now we're talking about 40%. 40%, right? Now, the Chinese money, it's somewhere about maybe I think between 1 to 3 point something percent. All right, I can't keep my fingers on it. But if you look at what China has as China, then you don't see the picture. But if you look at China as BRICS, that is South Africa, that is Brazil, that is India, that is Russia, that is China. If you look at them as BRICS, then we're looking about 30%, which basically means that the US standing as a dollar of international trade is gradually disappearing. It's gradually disappearing. And the reason is that all the money that all of these bank reserves, okay, they have, all of these nations have them in their bank reserve, as the US keep printing, it begins to devalue the money that they have in their reserves. It just begins to bring down its value. That is what is happening with us. And so, whether we like it or not, we have to start looking for alternative routes of investing. We have to start looking for alternative routes, especially to those of us on the continent. We have to start looking for alternative routes, all right? And most of our currencies, okay, we really do not control most of our currencies. I mean, especially those in the BIAC, I think it's called the BIAC zone. You don't control that. I left Cameroon once, and I was traveling to the US, and I had a stopover at Charles de Gaulle in Paris. And I had about 250,000 with me, 250,000 CFA with me. So I told myself, you know what the hell, let me change the money, right? So I went to a kiosk at the money exchange location inside the airport. And when I presented my money, I told them I want to change my money. They said, what? I said, I have 250,000. Her eyes popped open. It's like, what? I said, I have 250,000 CFA. She said, what is that? So by the time I presented the money to her, and then she looked at me and she said, we don't change that money here. Wow. All right. Wow. If you understand that the the Central Reserve, okay, of the CFA, the control center for the CFA is actually in Paris, and yet the CFA is of no value in Paris, then we are then we have legitimate problems. All right, then we have legitimate problems. But that is the state of affairs so far as the African is concerned, and what is happening to us on the continent. So we have to start looking outside of conventional channels, which has been superimposed on us by our wonderful colonial masters, and we have to start thinking about ourselves. All right, we have to start thinking about ourselves, so that we can be able to start literally fighting for the rights of the African, okay, as the custodian of the continent. All right, not that we've become everybody's backyard to drill and throw a couple of dollars at us and then take a ton of gold. That is absolutely wrong. And unfortunately, I'm not sure whether we have the capacity to fight this through. But I'm hoping for a generation of young people who will be able to say to themselves, enough is enough. Enough is enough. This period of darkness and this period of pain and this period of shame, enough is enough. That we have to do whatever it takes to be able to not just portray a certain light, a light that is going to speak value to the African, a light that will speak of our ancestral glorious past, We need that so that we can be able to have a whole entire community that will look like the Benin Empire out in Nigeria. So that when the Europeans will come, they will be so confused because the Benin Empire with 3 concentric walls was better and looked far more glorious than all of London. As a matter of fact, the Benin Kingdom was bigger than London, if you do not know that. Why the streets of London was running with sewage, that sometimes they literally have to close the house, okay, and just because of the stench, okay. Benin Empire was doing very well in terms of their own sewage system. That is how great Africa has been. Till date, there are a lot of artifacts that were stolen out of the Benin Empire. And every time a Caucasian has to show up on the continent and pick up things that do not belong to them, there is always this whole entire illusion of literally invoking a foreign presence as to have been the ones that constructed what is it that is in the custody of the Africans, because somehow the Africans do not have the capacity to be able to forge the beautiful bronze work that came out of the Benin Kingdom. London and primarily the whole of Europe is clustered. Okay, their entire landscape is clustered with African artifacts and artifacts that were stolen out of the continent. Some of our most precious jewels is actually housed in some of the biggest palaces out there in Europe. Why? Because the African is not worth it. Because the African should not be able to handle what is theirs. So we have to be able to understand that for the freedom we are looking for and for the recognition that we are searching for, the recognition will not come because we went on somebody's doors knocking. The greatest deception is for us to go and look for recognition to the same people that enslave us. The dumbest thing is to go out there and think that somehow they will be able to give us the liberation that we are looking for. They will not give us the liberation we are looking for. Our liberation is ours. That is who we are. Our liberation is ours. It is ours to take. It is not ours because it will be given to us. No, it is ours to take. We are liberated from the very moment we realize that we are not bound by what anything or anyone says about us. We have never been enslaved. We were people who were enslaved, but we were never slaves. Right? We were enslaved, but we were never slaves. You cannot have put a people, all right, and taken them, put a whole entire continent. So you understand that for the 400 years that the African was enslaved, all right, by the Europeans, there is another 700 years, okay, where the African was enslaved by the Arabs. All right? See? The Arabs took more people out of the African continent than did the Europeans. The Europeans, through this transatlantic slave trade, that was the Europeans. And then we had the trans-Sahara trade route, which carried slaves, ivory, and gold, all right, up north through the Nile, if this was in West Africa, okay, for an exchange point in the place, the Great Timbuktu. Meanwhile, on the eastern part of the continent throughout the Kenyas, all right, that was an exchange point for slaves also as they head into the Madinas. It is estimated that more than 21, that is just like, just wishful thinking, hoping for the best, that about 21 million Africans were taken from sub-Saharan Africa, okay, through the Sahara Desert, and they ended up in the Arabias. One of the fundamental problem with that slave trade is that if you went over into the Arabias, you will basically not find pockets of black people. You will not find pockets of melanated people. They are absolutely very scarce in all of Saudi Arabia. Very scarce. The reason is when the Arab slave merchant took their slaves, they masculated the men. That means they chopped off their penis, they cut it off. All right. And there was this long trail of blood across the Sahara, all right, heading into the Badinas because their men bled onto the god to the Arabians. So, as much as we talked about the transatlantic slave trade, I want us to also understand that there was a trans-Sahara slave trade. All right, the trans-Sahara slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade, that literally depleted the continent, okay, of its great human resources, as human cargo was shipped into the Atlantic or carried on horsebacks or pulled by caravans through the Sahara Desert. That did not work well with the African or for the betterment of the African continent. So we are in the place where we are literally starting, okay, from behind. Meanwhile, every other continent and civilization on the back of black people, okay, around the world have an advanced start. But for us, we are starting from behind. I believe, without a shadow of a doubt, that irrespective of what has happened to us and what is happening to us, even though we are starting from the back, what we are and who we are, and based upon our historic past, that we were able to construct the Great Zimbabwe. All right, that when the first explorers saw it, they thought that was the lost city of Cleopatra. They have no idea that black Africans were able to do that. We are the builders of the pyramid of Egypt. Egypt, a name given to a place which is called Kemet. Translation, land of the blacks. All right, land of the blacks. We are those who were the masons that built the Great Pyramid of Egypt. Think about that for a second. Every time you look at National Geographic, or you're watching any of these channels here in the US, they have to tell you about aliens and people who came from out of space with technology to be able to build that, because Africans cannot, Africans cannot. But if you look throughout all of Europe, you do not see any of those buildings, but you see them scattered up wherever there are melanated people. You see the pyramids, especially in Egypt, okay, and also if you look at a place like Sudan, okay, the land of 1,000 pyramids, because there are more pyramids in Sudan than there are in Egypt, actually. If you look at Sudan, okay, you see great pyramids in Sudan, and also we have that scattered also in the Amazon. All right, so we have great civilizations to remind us of how great we are. The Benin in Nigeria, those in the Great Zimbabwe, the Makambubwe, okay, in South Africa, and you look at the Malian Empire, and you start asking yourself, especially with its historic city of Great Timbuktu, and with all the scholarship that came out of Timbuktu. I think most of you, of course, you will know, because you're Pan-Africans, and that's the reason why you're here, that we actually had one of the best universities in the world. One of the very first and most prestigious universities in the world. Forget about Cornell, forget about Yale, forget about Harvard, not even Oxford. One of the best universities was actually Sankore University, okay, out there in Timbuktu, Sankara University in Timbuktu, with somebody like Ahmed Baba, Ahmed Baba being one of the chancellors. Ahmed Baba is one of my most favorite writers out of Timbuktu, being one of the chancellors of that university. I am telling you that if we will just focus, all right, if we will focus, if we will just focus on Africa's greatness, and think about Africa's greatness in light of our ancestral past. Okay, and the reason is it is a shame that we have to look at it with what we have been able to achieve thus far. You can never be able to understand how great the African has been if you look at what we have been able to achieve as a continent. It is shameful. But if you look at our individual achievements in different sectors, those who have dominated different, sphere of influence outside of the continent, then we're looking really, really good. It's outstanding. So if you look at it in that regard, then we're looking really, really good. Unfortunately, it's not the same thing. Unfortunately, one of the things that has hindered us, okay, and one of the things that has hindered us more than anything else is the fact that we are still struggling. We are still struggling to be able to bring into our consciousness the very fact that we are not slaves, or the very fact that we are not weak, or the very fact that we are not soft, or the very fact that we are, people who are gifted beyond measure. We are Africans, all right? We built everything that you see in Europe. We are Africans. We gave religion its foundation. One of the greatest atrocities to have ever happened, created right on the African continent, was the burning of the library in Alexandria, okay, in Alexandria, Egypt, because that was treasure trove of information in relationship to the formulation of Christianity, to say the least. People like Athanasius, black men who literally gave us the basis for most of the doctrines that we have today, which we practice in Christianity. Most of that came from Alexander. There were tremendous work of, scholarship in Alexander that got burned, that got destroyed. And we will really never know most of those works, and that is why we have the tendency to sit and believe that for some strange reasoning, Christianity was brought by the slaver to Africa. No. Christianity was not brought by the slaver to Africa. Africa flourished even with Judaism. Ethiopia, one of the oldest building in Africa, is actually one of the oldest Christian, Judeo-Christian building on the continent of Africa. It's about 3,000 years old. It's actually in Ethiopia. It's actually a synagogue with a mikveh. If you know what a mikveh is a ceremonial pour for cleansing. You will find a mikveh wherever you have a Jewish temple. There's always this building. It's called a mikveh, and you see that in Ethiopia. Ethiopia has one, the oldest. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure you can find anything as old as that in all of Israel. All right, but we have that in Ethiopia. It's right there, front and center, in Ethiopia. So the notion, even in relationship to Christianity, it's the notion that the slaver, the white man, brought Christianity to us is laughable. That just simply means that we have not understood our history at all. Archaeologically, you can look at everything pertaining to the formation of Ethiopia, and you'll realize that that is actually, it's Jewish in nature. That's a conversation for another day. All right, but we need to be able to understand this, because there is a tremendous folly on the African continent that somehow to push for the cause of the African, okay, it's anti-Christianity, or I wonder if Christianity is a name of something if people are not involved. Humans are involved, all right? So long before there was anything, long before the slavers showed up, we literally had a form of worship on the continent. And I am quite excited that there's a portion of the scriptures, okay, which says that those who live under the law would die under the law, and those who live outside of the law will be judged under the law, and those who live outside of the law will be judged outside of the law. Why? Because I think that natural law, okay, which is part of what we truly believed in, is enshrined in each and every one of us, irrespective of whatever you believe. It is transcendent. So we need to fully understand this. Otherwise, we start thinking that when you start talking about African and African spirituality, or you start talking about the kingdom, okay, and the restoration of Africa's heritage in relationship to who we are as a people, sometimes is anti-religion. That is not the case. Let me probably, I'll be pausing up for a minute, but let me say this. If we as a people believe, that there has to be, all right, that there has to be a move on the African continent for a restoration of the African, we have to be able to be involved fully within the fourth industrial revolution. I am a big time believer that we need to be able to do that. Africa has literally proven to us that we have what it takes. There's the will, there's the desire on the continent of Africa for us to literally, adapt most technologies that even places like Europe do not have as we speak. All right. There's this whole entire thing about leapfrogging. Okay, we have leapfrogged, especially in terms of technology, a lot of other stages that most nations in the West went through in relationship to their technological advancement in the tech space. We just basically leapfrogged them on the African continent. We are at an opportune moment. Where we are right now, we are at the point where we have to start dealing with the fourth industrial revolution technologies. What I'm saying to you is this: with the advent of AI, there are many applications within this space that will give a lot of opportunities to young Africans who are in the tech space, and also to young Africans who are getting into agriculture, and why not those who are into the mining sector. We have these technologies that are available now, and they are, because of the time in which we're living in, those things are pretty much, it's quite easy. Okay, they're cheaper to get, and most of them are quite free. So we need to be able to get ourselves involved in this space, number one, and start fighting for our own liberation, start fighting for our own financial freedom. Number two, if we do not control the money, we control nothing. Right? If we do not control the money, we control absolutely nothing. So don't talk to me about us controlling God knows what, natural resources, and when we can control the money. No, we need to be able to control the money. And the reason why we need to control the money also is because we have to start thinking about our environment as a continent. You see, a day will come when all the minerals will be gone. A day will come when there will be no gold left to mine. A day will come when there will be no oil left to pipe out of the ground. A day will come when copper, silver, zinc, and all of these precious metal, cobalt, and you name it, all right, when all the diamonds are gone. But when that happens, we will still be left with the soil for agricultural purposes. 60 something percent, maybe 62, 63, or 60, between 62 to 68% of the world irrigable land is actually on the continent of Africa. That means that we have what it takes to be able to feed the entire globe. Think about that. We have what it takes to feed the entire globe, but yet we are importing to the tunes of a couple of millions, billions rather, of US dollars worth of food into the African continent, because we can't produce enough to even help ourselves. Why? Worst of all, we are allowing those who are coming, the slavers, who are coming from outside of the continent to literally mine our soils, okay, pollute our waters with the aggressive mining that has absolutely zero environmental policies in relationship to how to take care of the land after we've stopped mining, in such a way that long after the caterpillars and the mining machines would have left the location will be good for nothing for 1,000 years. We will not be able to plant anything. But yet, the value that was taken out of the ground, you, as an African, you benefited nothing from it. That is the pain that the African is experiencing. That is the hell that we are going through as a people. So we have to start thinking about that. We have to make sure that before there is any mining certificate license being given to any other country, to anybody else, why don't we adopt the same status, the same thing that is happening in the Western world? You can't just show up on any other place and start mining without some geological studies, some ecological studies. We need to know what would be the result of what you're doing long after you've done mining, in terms of the soil, in terms of the water. We need to know all of that. But you see, the African is not worthy enough for those kinds of studies. Do you blame the slaver? Do you blame the foreign company that comes to do that? No, you don't blame them. Who do we blame? We blame the European slave indoctrinated, trained leaders that we have. Those are the folks that we blame. Those are the folks who have absolutely zero desire, zero interest for the African. No, we don't. Zero desire, zero interest for the African. In the mind of our leaders, they actually think they're Europeans. In their minds, they think that they are, they're Westerners. There's nothing African about them. So that when you see somebody with a heavy accent like I have, you're considered to be a little bit too uncivilized and unschooled. Crazy. But that's what's happening to us, and that's what our leaders have given us, right? They sell our resources, our natural resources, okay, for $1, and then we end up not getting any penny out of that dollar. And not just that, okay, the company that comes to mind pollutes our land, and we are not able to use that land for anything else. Agriculture, no, we can't. As I'm talking to you, in the Congo, where the highest cobalt mining is taking place, in the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, around the Goma area, you have this whole entire pandemic that is actually, developing, where most of the children that are born, okay, that's how I call it a pandemic. Most of the children that are born has cleft palates, okay, they have cleft lips. Why? Because the soil is so contaminated with hard metals that birth defects have become an order of the day. It is so bad that those who tries to farm cannot use water from the stream to water their plants because their plants just burn up. All right, but it's very easy for somebody like Joe Biden and of Washington. It's easy for London. It's easy for Paris to tell us why we need to go green, and then to prevent. And they will not do that here in the U.S. No. They will not do that in Europe. But see, it is permitted to be done on the African continent. And there's nothing we're doing about it. There's nothing we're doing about it. We are quiet about it. All right. And obviously, because when you have been paid, you do not have a voice anymore. Right? When you have been paid, you do not have a voice anymore. Who is supposed to cry foul as to what is going on? Those whom we have elected and placed in position of authority. But because they have been paid, they can no longer tell the truth to the slavers. They can no longer tell the truth to those who are poisoning our water system, destroying our land, because they are mining for our minerals, of which we are not being paid for. They're taking everything else out of Everything. They're taking everything out of our continent literally free. Everything is leaving Africa. They are shipping all of our natural resources. It is so bad that I was in Cameroon and I visited a company that produces toilet paper. Toilet paper. All right. And one of the things I noticed is that the paper itself is imported into the country because there's no manufacturing of that paper in Cameroon. And yet we are exporting timber out of the country like there is no tomorrow. We are exporting timber out of the country like there is no tomorrow. As a matter of fact, I am surprised if there's anything left. Because we are just yanking everything out of the forest. There used to be a forest, there's no forest anymore. What used to be the African rainforest is actually the African savanna. Trees, okay, for hundreds of years that it has taken for those trees to mature. A chainsaw takes it out in a day. A truck picks it up, and within an hour is ready to leave the country. And then we keep exporting and shipping them. And all that goes to create jobs to folks in the Western world. And then they will ship to us the finished products. So if you're talking about job creation, when we are not even able to participate in just primary levels of production, all right, where we convert at least our raw materials, okay, into just a basic conversion of raw materials, maybe something like cocoa, where we can be able to convert cocoa into cocoa powder or cocoa paste before exporting them. We are not even doing that. We just ship the cocoa beans. We just literally ship the cocoa beans. If you look at cocoa, for example, there is a place in the US called Hershey. Hershey is in Pennsylvania. The GDP for Hershey alone is literally amazing because it makes the GDP of Ivory Coast, okay, per capita looks like junk. Hershey is a place where there's this Hershey company that is the largest manufacturer of chocolate products in America. Okay, it's a whole entire city. Okay, it's like visiting Magic Mountain, you know, to those of you who live out in the US, or visiting a theme park like what we have, Walt Disney World in Orlando, in Florida. All right. If you look at Hershey, but just so you understand, Hershey actually decides how much Ivory Coast is going to sell her cocoa to the company. So they decide literally how much the price of cocoa is going to be. Meanwhile, Ivory Coast is literally supplying close to about 37% of the cocoa annually in the world. All right. But Ivory Coast there's nothing to write home about so far as the nation is concerned. Why? Because we keep exporting our cocoa beans. All right. We have done that. We have developed, and then we keep importing cocoa products, chocolate, and God knows what. You move into any other store, like where we have some Swiss chocolate, we have this, we have that. Yes, but that's our cocoa, right? So why can't we just be able to manufacture that within the continent? All right, open up our borders. Okay, all these borders, open up those borders and allow cross. I don't want to. I'm so scared about using certain words like cross country, because there's no country on the African continent. We are a people. All right. So take down these boundaries and allow for trade across these so-called international boundaries. All right. Take it down, and then it will be possible for even smaller businesses that somebody in Yaoundé in Cameroon is manufacturing baskets that they can sell to someone who is in Accra, Ghana. Okay, or somebody who is Dar es Salaam is producing hajibs or hajib or whatever stuff it is that they're producing that they can be able to sell to somebody, out in Cape Town, South Africa. So we need to be able to open up the continent. If not, I'm telling the truth, we are still going to have extreme difficulties. I think I've said this over and over again. I said that, and this is very relevant, that for the liberation of the continent of Africa, that is 100% possible, but we have one predictable problem to Africa's liberation. Africa's liberation has one predictable obstacle, and it is that for Africa's liberation, there is always a Negro who is willing to sell a brother for $1. There is always a Negro willing to sell a brother for $1. Look on the African continent and look at all of the assassinations that took place on the African continent as the West came killing, those who were Pan-Africans, people who believed so much on the continent of Africa that if we came together as one people, we were going to be everything that the West will dream of, can only dream of. All of them got massacred, all right? They got assassinated. Why? Of course, nobody wanted to see a united front, from an African perspective. So they got killed. But they did not do that by themselves. They employed an African to do the job. An African was the hitman, all right? So for Africa's liberation, a predictable obstacle which we must fight is to make sure that, we know who we're dealing with and we know those who are in this for Africa and those who are in this for themselves. All right? Folks who are going to manipulate the system to, for their own personal gain, as opposed to bringing liberation that is needed for the continent. That is what we need. That is what we dream for. That is what is Africa's aspiration. So if there be anything else that I'm dreaming for, if there be anything else that I want, if there be anything else that I hope for, I hope for a continent that will literally take her place among the greats of the world. I hope for a continent that will stand tall and stand strong despite all the obstacles that she's facing daily. If that happens, then we will be doing justice to our ancestors. We'll be doing justice to those who bled and died fighting off slavers from the western shores of Africa to the eastern shores of Africa, to those who refuse, to be slaves and decided to jump to their deaths in the watery graves as those slave ships headed west, through the transatlantic slave trade. If we are able to fully understand that there are people who fought off slavers to their death for your freedom, for our freedom, not because they were fighting to protect their lives, they were fighting to protect their story, our story, your story, my story. That a day can come when we can sit as Africans in the diaspora and those who are on the mainland and have this dream about what is possible so far as we as Africans are concerned. That there is a deep connection between who we are and where we are from. That the whole notion that it's not about where you start or where you're from that matters, but it is about what you become that is important. But that for us, we can be able to say it matters to us where we are from. Because the picture that has been painted about us about where we are coming from is not that of Tarzan jumping in the jungle. That is the image we have been given. They told us that we were just monkeys, that we really were not humans, until until DNA studies prove that even those who told us that we're monkeys, okay, was literally just another African, okay, with a white skin, because that came to from the African continent. The Homo sapiens species, all right, as of 160,000 years ago, emerges out of the African continent. There's a skull that was discovered in Ethiopia after heavy rainfall, and when they did archaeological testing on that particular skull, okay, it showed that it was about 160,000 years old, and they actually named the skull Indautu, which means firstborn, firstborn, firstborn. Every body on planet Earth emerges from Africa around the Great Lakes, okay, in East Africa. That's where everybody on the African continent comes from. My take is, once this revelation as to who we are, once this depth of truth and knowledge hits us, once we fully understand that we are not average, that we've never been average, we give to this world medicine. So you know, we give to this world medicine. For thousands of years, medical procedures practiced on the African continent, okay, were not practiced in Europe. All right? We were practicing medical procedures on the African continent that were not practiced in Europe. I'm sure you've heard about the great Imhotep, all right, who I consider to be the father of medicine out in Egypt, out in Kemet, the father of medicine. All right, Pythagoras and the rest, they all came to burn. They all came to literally learn, okay, as to what was happening in Egypt. If you look at all historical writings that pertains to Kemet, you realize that you're dealing with an advanced civilization. And the Greeks were the Greco-Roman civilizations were gifted at recording these histories. All right. So once we understand that, once we know that we are fully African, gifted, absolutely gifted, once we understand that we are Africans with a DNA of success, okay, with a DNA of great empires, DNA of great leaders, DNA of kings and queens, our talk, our work has to be different. Our talk, our work has to be different. Absolutely. We cannot be the same anymore. All right? And that simply means we have to fight this at the areas of technology. We have to bring this at the area of history. We have to tell our own story. You understand? We need to tell our own story. I don't know who we are expecting to tell our own story. We need to tell our own story. We need to educate young Africans from an Afrocentric perspective. It cannot be from a Eurocentric perspective. If we ever do it from a Eurocentric perspective, the story of the African will never be told. And the reason is because, obviously, the European will love to be able to paint a very rosy picture as to who they are in relationship to who the African is. No, we are kings, and we have been kings. Absolutely. We are kings, and we have been kings. All right? So the notion like every single African is a king, yeah, I'm a king. I am. You are. We are. Why? Our ancestors are kings. That's who we are. It's not a fiction. It's not just a fairy tale. No, it's not. This is who we are as a people. And it is a shame to think for a second that we will not be able to fully embrace this. We are who we are because of where we're from. I am an African, a descendant of great writers from the city of Great Timbuktu. I am a descendant of scholars like Ahmed Baba, men who gave to the world writing in astronomy, in medicine, daily living, around the city life in Timbuktu. Men who stayed with scholars who came from the east, as far as the Arabians, but who were considered the best in their days. And yet, they were black. They were not white. They were black. Scholars who were taken out of the continent of Africa to help educate those in Europe. They were black. They were not white. Scholars who were able to build some of the great civilizations that has come out of Europe. They were black men. They were not white men. Isn't it interesting to you that right in St. Peter's Square, there is an obelisk, right in St. Peter's Square. The obelisk is not a photocopy. It's not a replica of any just obelisk. That obelisk was literally young out of Egypt. The obelisk in Kemetic civilization is a symbol of life, right? And so, what is an obelisk doing in St. Peter's Square? What would an obelisk from Kemet be doing in St. Peter's Square? Or what would the picture of Madonna be doing in St. Peter's Square or in the Vatican? Because the picture of Madonna is actually out of Kemet. We are gifted Africans. We are gifted as a people. We need to have that. We need to know that. Africans everywhere in the world, those in the diaspora and those on the mainland, we are a gifted people. And we have always been a gifted people. So even in the case of religion, you have to start asking questions like, why would African artifacts be doing in one of the biggest arenas so far as Christianity is concerned, which is in the Vatican? You have to start asking those questions, right? So I'm sure subsequently we'll get into a whole lot of that. That being said, let me say this to you. If there's anything I will leave with you, I will leave you with this. I want you to stay hungry. I want you to stay thirsty. I want you to stay dreaming and believing that what is possible for others is possible for you. I want you to understand that you are not just fighting a battle just for yourself. You are literally fighting a battle to bring Africa out of where it is, to bring Africa out of this pain, to bring Africa out of this circle, to bring Africa to a place where Africa can truly be recognized for her glorious past and her capacity on the world stage. What I'm saying is this, that the world is waiting for Africa. But in reality, the world is waiting for you, right? The world is waiting for you. What you are and what you can become is extremely very valuable to the African and to our cause as a people. So, taking little steps to be better, taking little steps to be good, taking little steps to forge ahead, to be the best in your class, to be the best in what you do, to stand out, not just for yourself, but knowing mindfully well that if you stand out, you are standing out for the ancestors. To stand out, not just for yourself, knowing mindfully well that if you stand out, you are standing out for those who came before us. Understanding that if you stand out, you are standing out for those who died for your cause. Understanding that if you stand out, you will be standing out to replicate the glory of someone like Mansa Musa. All right? That if you really stood out, you will be replicating the glory of somebody like Emotep. Understanding that if you stood out, if you did everything that you could with the best of your power, you will be representing those who built the great city of Zimbabwe. If that was going to be your desire and your ambition, then you will be causing Africa to rise again. You will be causing Africa to literally rise again. And that would be our story. I dream, I hope, I pray that for this century that we're in, that in the 21st century, we will be the best, okay? That there will be no continent and no peoples around the world that will be as influential, as powerful as the Africans. And this is to those on the continent and those in the diaspora, that everywhere you are a beacon of Africa's hope. That wherever you are a beacon of Africa's future. That when somebody sees you, they see the glory of the continent. That means you need to start walking and talking like it. You need to start behaving like it. You cannot be careless and still think that you can embrace or you can represent who we are as a people. That means we have to fully embrace who we are in the spirit of excellence. All right? In the spirit of excellence. We want the best engineers to come out of the continent or to be anywhere else in the diaspora. Your melanin is a gift. Your melanin is a gift. It's not a curse. I am gifted because I'm black. I am blessed because I'm black. And I will not trade this for anything else. And the reason is when you see me, you see the light. Let me end by stating this because it's extremely very important. The notion about why I hold on to certain values is because I truly believe that if we do not understand that we are who we are, anybody can come and tell us anything and we will believe because it sounds good. Now, what I'm trying to say to you is this, that there is nothing in your past you should be ashamed of. There is nothing in your yesterday that you should be ashamed of. There is nothing in your historical past that you should be ashamed of as an African. Every other culture or every other ethnic group in this world have had their own share of issues and problems. Let me ask you a question. Long before the American Indians came to the United States of America from Mongolia, who was here? Have you asked that question? The American Indians came from Mongolia through the land bridge, okay, through Alaska, and they descended looking for warmer climate, and they headed south. What I'm trying to ask you is this. Have you asked yourself, who was here when they got here? Or you thought that the land was empty? Everybody has blood on their hands. There is this whole entire stuff about, Africans has been, carnivores and, God knows all kinds of, what is it again? Okay, Jesus. It's that we have been a little bit on the backside of things. I get that. But the reality is that there is no other civilization or culture or peoples in this world that have not been that. Okay? Every other civilization has actually experienced that. So, that being said, don't be ashamed of who you are and where you're coming from. You should be proud of who you are. You should be proud of where you're coming from because that's your story. That's our story. That is who we are. And nothing can take that away from us. I embrace who I am so that I can inspire others to be better. I embrace who I am so I can inspire others to be the best that they can be. That is a gift that each and every one of us have. And if that was going to be the case, I hope that you can, from today, tell yourself that no matter what happens, you will be the best you can be. That no matter what happens, when it's all said and done, you will be able not just to write your own story, but when you write your own story, you will have your story right there with those of the ancestors, because you'll realize that your story will become a blessing from the ancestors, and it will become a blessing not just to yourself, because you will now be becoming an ancestor yourself. Why? Each and every one of us, we are passing. What legacy are we leaving? What legacy are we going to leave for those who are on the continent and these Africans who are in the diaspora? That's our story. This is who we are, and I'm proud to be an African.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I'm talking to that audience there because it seems as if it was my some kind of double microphone. So I switched off and I was in the background. Can you people hear me? Echoes again. You see, because when I'm in the studio, I think that actually would have come from me. We did a lot of testing in the last 2 nights with the new camera. Stanley, I told you. So I think definitely that would have been it. Okay. Fine. Now the yes. Wait. Let me do this. Let me do this. Let me do this. Let me do this. Do you hear echoes again? Because I think when both of us are in the studio, something double is gonna come up. Do you hear echo again? Do you hear the echo? I'm asking you in the chat. No. Okay. Fine. Thanks. So you see both of us in the studio. So definitely something is acting up. Anyway, thanks so much. Stan, I know you're hearing me right there. Because each and one of us, somebody has to be in the studio and the other person out. I want you to drop your comments in the chat. What you think about Stan? What do you think about Mr. FONGOD's presentation? Because like I said, now we're recruiting, the missionaries, the ministers, a lot are busy now in the background doing something, and we're recruiting the new set for 2023. Inspiration like never before, and yes. So I think, thank you, James Turner, our biggest member. Our member is saying, excellent brother. Thank you so very much out there. And yes, Imhotep, the same thing. So fine. I think he was amazing and on point. Reparations, thank you so very much for that. And yes, we want to know. We absolutely want to know. Does Stanley have a YouTube channel? No, Snovia, this is his YouTube channel. I'm going to bring him again. Let him explain to us how he is going to build the Pan-African Daily, because that's a vision and a mission that he wants to accomplish. Give us a Pan-African TV. What we've been anticipating, what we've been aching for, and what it would take us to get our satellite. I don't know. He's going to explain to us what the satellite or no. He's been telling me so much tech stuff. My head cannot contain that, as you know very much. Okay. But I don't know if you want us to keep it for another day, but I want him to actually just simply say something, why we need the Pan-African Daily TV channel. Why is it very important for us? And how much is going to cost us, to get that in a very short while? Like he was telling me there's a lot of technology. I just showed him. Look at him in the studio. People, did you watch him in the studio? Look at his image, his sound, his everything. You can touch this cutie sweetie king here. I'm telling you. Hey, and please remember, do not forget, our relationship conversation is going to start after the festival in Germany, after the cultural meeting, the international meeting platform for all Pan-African organizations, civil society movements. It's not just that we're going to Germany to drum and dance and celebrate. Yes, we're going to do that, but we have a mission, a big one, So Easy says, Stanley gave an interesting presentation. I find his analysis fascinating and thought-provoking. Yes, exactly. So, yes, we're going to be having him join us. And like I said, he has the solution. The solution, not just cultural, mental, but economic solution. You heard him talk about the Creston currency. And I heard a lot of you asking, because he already just showed us all the facts. Is it backed by gold? Now, you want to think about it. You all saw the Buckingham Palace and all those chunks of gold that was piled in there. Who do you think that America had to deceive to back his dollar? That was your African gold. And so this brother here is cracking sense, too much sense to tell us we need a currency that is backed by gold. I mean, we've been touching over. We have a Lumi. Lumi is already there. But these are all currencies that, Mr. FONGOD wants to bring on the platform and actually teach us why we need to defend Congo, Zimbabwe, take the golds, the diamonds, and back whatever currency we're going to use. This is the first time, people, that I hear that. This is the first ever that we hear that. That's the first ever. Okay? So we are coming on the another level. Get our TV. We see the brother just coming up, and he has built. Stanley, I want to give you just a gist before I bring him on the platform. Stanley has started building TV platforms before even all these apps on social media. I mean, the local traditional TV, like you see Fox News, CNN, and BBC and all that, Stanley has been doing. He's going to tell you that. I mean, from his mouthpiece, since 2005 or something like that. And he's built a lot of all these gospel church channels that you're watching today in Nigeria or in the Americas. Okay? So, people, we have the community. We have the resources. We have people that are coming from us to tell us, you know what? It is doable. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. Keep those, I don't know what. Let them begin to dream in their space and think that, we are dumb, we're primitive, we're backward, we're blah, blah, blah. We heard all of that. But now we're picking up and saying, reparation. Congo can supply the whole world. Reparations, the whole world, not just Africa. We have the Renaissance Dam in Ethiopia. Do you know why they keep stopping all these aliens? Why they keep stopping? I mean, this anything that would bring light. But we are saying not just light, because the daylight, we are light ourselves. He told you. Say it loud. I am black and proud. That's something that is coming up. Okay, I want to thank the senior executive who met last weekend, and they're trying to put us a culture on the Pan-African Daily TV. We have to get a culture. I don't want to tell you what is that going to be, but we are going to have a culture. We're going to have a culture that we have to abide by. So the team is working hardly. And I saw Sister Patricia, I saw Sister Wilson ask how he can be a part. Please, we need sisters on the Pan-African Daily TV senior team. We are elderly women, middle-aged sometimes, but really hot-headed women that, we have nothing to lose to drive this continent. As a matter of fact, we've given birth to our kings. They are fading their ways. We're satisfied. We just love our lives. We love ourselves. All our heart is beating for is the continent. The new set of the Nzingas that would go to war. Today we start seeing Woman King and all these movies come up. What do you think that is? This Nzingas and all these movies that are coming up, the Woman King, is us. To be honest with you, we're going to war. We are going to war. We're ready. We're ready. And the queens are taken. And we have a lot of kings also, like Stanley, that is coming up to say, I know the kind of weapons that we're going to use. We don't need to go and develop. Who tells you people do guns anymore? That's out-fashioned. All right? We have other methods. Ask Hamid how we did them. We're going to instill even our mosquitoes. Can you imagine that? Do you know what it did? And some people come on like, oh, how do we destroy a mosquito? We're not going to. They did us so well. Oh my goodness. Yes. A lot of us are dying from it, or some of us, but it was intentionally put by the creator there. You cannot imagine how this beast was. Okay, so yes, please join us, join our senior executive team. We're currently working on how we are going to mobilize our funding ourselves, carry ourselves, and meet at the middle point where everything started in Germany. So we're inviting, it's not just a festival that we're going to drink and that. Of course, we eat fufu. We're going to do every other thing. But I'm telling you, hey, the backstage is going to be something else. All right. So you begin to watch your emails. You're going to be receiving an email for us, how you can participate. We're also thinking about getting a digital virtual session. I think Stanley is going to explain to us if that will be possible, so that most of you that cannot attend in person, you would have to buy your ticket, okay, to watch this live. So like we have 4 beautiful days. Cheryl would come on to tell you exactly what we'll be doing in these 4 great days. It's going to be power. Like, like in those days when they say we're going for pilgrimage. Like in those days when we say we're going for crusade. Anything that you want to package and put in this meeting, this international meeting of Africa's intelligence. We're meeting in Tübingen, Germany. All right. We're not only going to dance and eat. We are going to talk. We're going to think. We're going to see each other. Let me just bring Stanley again, because I want this smart king here. As you see him like this, he doesn't talk so much. You see, he's like kind of timid and just say his stuff. Boy, girls, this king here, and I don't bring any kind of person on the Pan-African Daily. You already know it. I mean, they will not even exist here. Any person that doesn't have any business in Africa and doesn't drink water and mind his African business, what are you doing on the Pan-African Daily? All right. So I also want to thank, and I saw some chats going on. Brother Ayinde is not a troll. All right. Please back it up. He's not. He's our king. All right. I know him. He's a king. All right. So yes. We do apologize, Brother Ayinde. Okay, we apologize for you, our king. All right, it's okay. It's all right. We apologize for you. So I'm bringing Stanley again. Everybody's saying, teach us our history, Stanley. We love you here, bro. We love you here. Please, this king, hey. And you cannot imagine, he's sitting at your backyard here somewhere in California, I think, huh? So this brother, even though he comes from my backyard at my back village, we're the closest neighbor, and we used to fight each other. I come from Meta, he comes from Bali. Come on, give me a break. You need to see how we had to fight each other. I mean, not fighting each other like, the enslavers or the colonizers came to us. We tested who is who. All right. But I can guarantee you, I know Stanley is going to say something else. We beat them. And got married to their queens, and we took them. You're right. I know Stanley is going to contradict this story. So, but no problem. Just don't mind us. I mean, we are so great. I just wanted to say we are neighbors in the village, on the continent, and we're coming with this kind of vibration. And to actually, that's why you see him constantly say in Cameroon, the CFA currency is not even recognized by the enslavers, the colonizers, the French people who printed it. They don't even know that money. We bring the money to them in their banks. They don't even recognize it. Can you imagine such? I don't know. How do we call that? Type the word you want us to call them in the chat, but don't be arrogant. Okay. We're very civilized people. Give anything you want to give any name that you want to, particularly these ones that are talking like the frogs. Please give them something inside the chat, but be polite enough. All right, so I'm sorry. I know you're gonna be hearing the hinges, so I would have to drop back again because I don't want you to hear this echoes. It's very aching. Imagine such a beautiful presentation that he did if we had to hear this echo, and all that is blame me, blame the queen right here. So Stanley, your audience is actually saying we need you to come and come and come again. We find you thought provoking, even though we're still smelling you, because in the Pan African Daily, to be honest with you, we just don't accept any person in this household without knowing you. That's why you see we just left to speak your heart, and we're feeling your energy, your vibration. I know you personally. I'm your 15th wife. You know it. But but every other person, thank you, reparations. You've given the word. So, but every other person here doesn't actually know you, but you're sounding that king, that personality. And like I said, he's going to explain to us how we're going to get our TV in a very simple, easiest way, and even the cheapest, but we're going to be present on the main stuff. Stanley, don't give all our secrets here, to be honest. We'll invite you in our private meeting because we're considering taking you into our senior executive team, and that one we do. But of course, not since all our members are always not really here, we just want you to give an overview. What would it take for us to get our TV? And how soon we're going to do that? And how much, for instance, do you think that could cost us? We have our big sponsors here. There's Brother Lee Felder here. And all of us here are rich people, as you see us in this group. You see? You look at stuff, our membership is growing. We are almost 90,000 subscribers now in a very short space. And we are not, if we give just our $1, all of us, you can imagine the kind of power that we're going to have here. So anyway, over to you. Do you still hear some echoes, or do you think it's okay if I stay in the studio? Or you tired of seeing me? Drop it in the comment. Go ahead, Stan.
Maybe I wonder if they can hear an echo.
No echo so far.
No echo so far. Okay.
So somebody had to go out.
That's good. All right. So let us know if something pops up. In relationship to now I can hear.
No,
Echo is back. Okay, good. So in relationship to what we can be able to do so far as setting up the entire Pan African TV Daily, I think that we absolutely must be on satellite. The reason for the satellite really is not just because we want to be on satellite, it's because that will be the fastest mode of spreading the feed to as many countries as we can, especially on the African continent. And to those who are in the diaspora, I think we'll use a different technology. We'll probably just use IP, which means we can tunnel our feeds directly to whoever is distributing on cable in different parts of the world, which is easy to do. The problem with the African continent is because penetration for internet connectivity is not that great. And as a result of that, we have this conundrum where we have the feed, but we cannot send the feed via IP internet connectivity to somebody, let's say in Lagos, Nigeria, because it's just going to be too expensive for us to do that, as opposed to in most developed nations where people have a flat rate for internet connectivity and the internet speed is quite good. So we can do that in Africa, in Europe, but it will be difficult, or in the Americas, it will be difficult for us to do that on the continent. So we have to be on satellite in the continent, just so that we can be able to distribute from our satellite feed to cable distributors. And that way we have better penetration in terms of our TV channel on the continent of Africa. That's what we need to do.
Wonderful. Cheryl is saying probably we would have to. This information is too delicious. It's too delicious to just say. So probably we'll have to prepare that and come on a Q&A, on a question and answer on that. But already, thank you so very much. That we know that we can do that. Of course, we do know EZD, what we're dealing here with, and that's why we say we're taking our baby steps to get there. But of course, we would have to get there. Yeah, we will have to get there. Okay. So, good. Now, what is it that is needed? If you're saying, like, look at my image, look at your own stand, what is wrong? What's the difference?
What was that again?
I said, if you look at my studio image and you look at yours, mine is kind of like flu, yours is just like straight to the point. So, what is that?
Oh, the first thing is you have this backdrop, which is the green screen that you're using. The processing power on your computer, it's not that good, and to be able to do all of that, you need a bigger system, and then with better lighting. So you may have good cameras, but if your lighting is a little bit quite crazy, then it will be very, very bad. For example, I can be able to just show you how bad mine can be if I took my light off. So let's see. I'm on my phone because I control mine from my phone. Okay, there you go. One of my lights is out, and okay, there you go. I'm off now. So this is exactly how the whole entire stuff would look like. But you are operating like this with the green screen, and you're still trying to key chrome that, and that is really not good. But if I come back a little bit with a little bit of zest, my camera kind of adjusts a little bit, it's autofocusing, and then just a little bit of that, bam, I'm in the studio. That's it. Uh-uh. Oh,
It's also
okay.
because I'm a moving studio. I'm not a permanent one. That's also makes a lot of sense.
Yes, for sure, for sure, for sure. And the reason is because you are so you're on the road, so it's kind of a little bit difficult. But we have to for this to work, we need to be able to find ways in which you have to be a little bit more permanent, because we need to build something that is a little bit permanent, and that way we can actually design a set and build it well and just make it really good, and that we can have the kind of images that better images than this, to say the least. When we get finished with setting that up, but we have to be in um, we have to do it at at a more permanent location, either wherever you choose, but we have to do that. It'll be a more permanent site.
All right, another question. I mean, we have been looking into all these possibilities for 3 years now, but we are looking at the challenges of technology on the continent. That's the more reason I've been there two, three times and forth, and particularly because we're still operating on this system of digital media. So the criterias also for that permanent kind of set has to actually be the one that has this 5D and stuff like that, or what? Would you say to?
Well, the issue here is this, that we don't have a lot of issues so far as communicating on the continent is concerned. The only problem we have is internet connectivity, and the reason is because that's the cheapest way for us to be able to, to send our signals across the continent. But it would take a lot of work. And what that means is we need to be able to talk to cable distributors. That is primarily where we'll live and die, with cable distributors on the continent. And as a lot of people begin to enjoy and like this beautiful network and this beautiful channel, what will happen eventually is that people will start demanding from their cable operators that they want to be able to view Pan African TV daily. And that is what we want. And that way, the cable distributors will be the one to do the work for us. So that would be the beautiful thing. So we have to push more for, the 90,000 plus subscribers over here to scream bloody hell, on their cable providers to give them Pan African TV daily. But we need to be on satellite on the continent for that to happen. Okay, we need to have our footprint, on the continent for that to happen. If not, it will be a little bit difficult. I think, I don't know, Intesta 5 or Galaxy 19. I've forgotten what satellite we should be using. Maybe Intesta 5 or Galaxy 19, on the continent, or maybe a company like ViewSat, okay, will give us access, so that we can have our footprint on sub-Saharan Africa and part of the Middle East.
Okay, wow. Beautiful. Like we say, we're not going to feed the dogs a lot if they don't get hungry. If they don't get hungry, that could actually be chunky for us. For the moment, we just gonna be tolerating this. I do hope that it doesn't cost anything. Most of the time we say the message is more very, very important. And yes, I see people already asking, when am I starting this the dating chat? Cheryl. We're putting up that program together, and I want to congratulate those that already sent me their profile and what kind of relationship we're going to be having. Stanley, one of the programs that we're bringing on the Pan African Daily is we think that we have to use every resources to connect. It's not just connect, but intentionally connecting. And we have a project that is coming up, which is going to be a relationship based project where we want to actually intentionally intermarry the continentals and the diaspora to be able to preserve the DNAs and our seeds, organic seeds for the future. And that project is currently being on the ground. We definitely will launch it after the cultural meeting in Germany. Every other thing has to wait for now. Now, this is actually some of the things that you think, yes, why not, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's good. I think that if you're able to pull that out, then you'll be helping a whole lot. And why not take most of our folks who are here to look back on the continent and look back at other Africans who are in the diaspora, and say, let them get married, fall in love, and have beautiful children that will carry on the legacy and keep the story of the African alive.
Yes. Of course, sure. We're doing that, and probably we'll take the next trip and a whole tour package to come around next year, February. I'm already getting some hinges, and we can work on that. Anyway, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. I think my because my mic is muted. All right. I just wanted to, you already said it, but what would you round up, and when do you think it's going to be possible that we're going to see your cutie face again?
Well, I grateful. Thanks everyone for the opportunity to be here and to be part of what is happening with the Pan African TV Daily. Of course, whenever you call, I will be here for sure. And whatever stuff we need to do, I'm ready for us to do it so we can push this cause forward and bring legitimate changes on the continent of Africa for our good. Last words from me. I want you to remember, you are kings and queens. You are kings and queens. And there is nothing else beyond that. Walk like it, talk like it, be it, and truly believe it, because we are waiting for your manifestation. We want to see you truly be who you are, the king that you are and the queen that you are. You're black, you're beautiful, you're precious, and the world needs you. Know that.
Oh my goodness. Ay, thank you too. You are not wrong. You are not wrong. Thank you, our king. Thank you. Thank you so much. And remember, I don't want to go to number 16 wife. I just want to stay on 15, okay? So whatever you do there, consider me 15. I'm number 15. All right. Thank you so much, Steve. That was it was a pleasure having you. And I think most of you do agree with me. I know the echoes are coming, but he's leaving, and we just want to say bye to him, and that we'll be able to have you next time very soon. Okay.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Good. Wow. All right, people. I think we hit it. We did our target. I just want to sprinkle some little bit of news or what we've been doing on the senior executive team here. Like I said before, we met and we put out some structures. We want to have, a structure, not just a structure. We have to have a tradition, how we greet ourselves, what we pay attention to on the Pan African Daily TV. We really, really have to, get a culture that is standardized. Each time you see us, you see our logos. When we meet in open space, how do we greet each other? What is it that we commit to? Yeah. So the senior queens and the kings are putting that structure together, and we'll be inviting all our members into that club. Members are identified when you see their names in green. When you see their names, not black, when you see their names here in the chat group, they are identified in green. I'm sorry, in the green, with the green color. So those are the members. And so if you want to be tagged green or be a member of this prestigious family, all you need to do is you would go on the right hand of our channel. You're going to see join, or you're going to see membership. And so you click and become a proud member of this team. Thank you so very much. Another information that I want to give us is really about our meeting in Germany this year. And like I said, you're going to be getting emails from us, how you can be a part virtually or presently. Actually, we really are mobilizing Pan-African initiatives, African-owned initiatives in it's a grouping of, you want to come like a group. You can also still come like an individual, but we do appreciate, like brands, you have a brand, you have a caterer, you can cook fufu, and you're a designer, you're a hairdresser, you have a brand, you have cosmetics, you have products that are black made, for our skin type and every other thing. Remember, we used to drink all those kind of extra brands that we didn't even know. I mean, how could people that don't even know us, right? Don't even know us, make food for us, make creams for us, and make lipstick for us. I just shared how they made lipsticks with palm nut kernels, right? And these palm nut kernels only grow in the tropics in Africa, as we do know that, okay? So yes, there's a lot, and a lot of us are doing a lot of interesting stuff. If we are not entertaining, we are crafted and gifted in one trade or one skill than the other, and we have been disconnected in this kind of thing. So we're building platforms where we have to meet in person. Bring your skills, bring your intelligence, bring your know-how. If you can moderate, if you can organize, please, we need a lot of volunteers. We need a lot of volunteers in Germany. And next year, we're going to be in Atlanta, all right? Probably in August. Queen Cheryl is going to, Snovia is going to tell us more on that. But then lots of projects are coming to us. And when we say we are here, a lot of people are like, why not continent? Of course, we're continent everywhere. Everything that we're doing, whether we're turning in the diaspora, we're doing it for motherland. We're doing it for mother continent. But imagine if we don't first of all do it for ourselves. We need healing. We need connection. We need touchy. As a matter of fact, okay? We need more singles to fall in love and love each other and marry and bring forth good families. And you remember, our families have been distorted a lot. And it's intentionally made that we don't have that structure, because our family is our root, is our power, is our everything, So, but we have to reconstruct it. We have to reconstruct our family base. All right. We are not a dating platform where people just go and talk crap. No, we're intentionally about bringing our families together, build good family love connections that are intentional, that are healthy. And we're going to be backing this up. We're going to be backing this up with, just like we did in the village. Our mothers, our parents will give us into marriage, and they will stand by us at any time. And we do it in our communities. In case of anything, we intervene. We don't allow these crazy lawyers go get your money and tell you all they know is divorce, divorce, divorce. No, they came in and did everything to heal, to teach, to unite, because it never was a problem of my daughter, your son. It was a problem of our children. Okay. And that's very, very important for us to keep up that culture. We have to keep it now intentional. That's why we have to build these things. There's a lot of women who actually don't even know how to fall in love again. And exactly, there's a lot of our men who don't even know how to talk to women again. Because we've been taught to be disunited. We've been taught actually to live by ourselves. We've been taught that, no, being single, you can enjoy. And you enjoy it. I mean, if the Creator really intended that, would He have created us like that? He would have just, So, yes, our culture is what we believe and what we trust in, and what we're going to keep, what we're going to nourish, what we're going to give, what we're going to give to the next generation. So I want to thank all of you. Tomorrow, I don't know if we're going to get a guest, but like I said, the conversations is actually going to be more on the coming meeting, what we expect to meet and do and discuss in Germany, how we actually are going to. Thank you so very much, Easy D. We are also closing out right now. Thank you. Good evening, and all of you as well. And yes, we will be meeting, and we're going to have a very, very powerful program. Okay, tomorrow, if I would not be live, I will be shortly, but I'm going to show you probably some videos of the past, how it looks like. And most people are asking, oh, how many black people are in Germany? We know Germany is just white. Of course, Germany is a white country, as you know. Unlike in the Caribbean or in America, where you have actually our black people in numbers, in Germany is actually we feel. It's just even now that we have our babies and our children growing up here. I can remember most of us, we just, where my children went to school, they were the only black children in the whole school or in the whole quarter or in the whole community as well. So you can imagine that, right? But to be honest with you, we are a loving community. Our community is good. It is different. So we encourage you people to also take a leap, right? Get your passport ready. We know most of us folks don't even own passport because we never thought that we're going to be traveling. How much are we going to now starting to go to Ghana, to West Africa, and to other places, to Ethiopia, when we don't even have a passport? So start by going to Europe. Start by actually packing your bag. Be happy to go and travel. Try it. Everything is a learning. Most of us just sit and we never did that. And we don't even know what it looks like. But try, let's meet. That's why we're meeting in Europe in the middle point. Let's meet there, okay? Reparations say, I want to marry Farouk Al-Wahab from Ghana. He has been a guest on your show many times. Reparations, I'm bringing him. I'm bringing that brother. And you know what? He has a brand. He has a whole line of products for us queens, and get body wash, lotions made out of the most beautiful, natural, organic plants. I just talked to him yesterday because he has to bring his brand to Tübingen. So why don't you just come? Reparations, hey, text me, inbox me, and let's meet in Tübingen. And for God's sake, he's single. Yes, you see, those are them. Exactly. They kings that are coming here. We're going to fish all them because we have to connect and start reproducing. All right. So we're going to do that. We're going to do that. So let's see ourselves tomorrow, people. Let's see ourselves tomorrow. I'm really going to be showing you some very good pictures or videos about Tübingen, Germany, and how it feels like. And you know that every European that actually that they migrated came from Europe, came from Germany. Don't you want don't you want to find out also their origins, the origins of our people out here in different colors? They go to Egypt, they go to Kemet, they go to every other places, like we're saying. They left Spain in those years and went and learned something. Why ain't we also going to their places and try to see and learn? We're not going to learn in that kind of a way, like this still. They were stealing, they're not learning anyway. But we're not going to do that. Okay, so Let us meet in Germany. Germans are nice, friendly, open people, to be honest. This today on. Even though they still have the genes. But honestly speaking, we are open, nice community of people. And we are looking forward. Germany opens its doors to you. We're looking forward to meet in Germany. And let's get started there. Before we know if we have to make it to Berlin next year at the conference hall where they sat there and whatever thing they did, right? So good. Thank you so much. I hate leaving Pan-African Daily. I'm telling you, I hate leaving this community. The moment I say I want to leave, then I start see yadi that I haven't seen for long here. Then I see Queen. When I saw our Queen here from the Caribbean. You see yadi. I can't remember yadi when we heard your voice on Pan-African, and you are the pioneer, the founders of Pan-African Daily. We also want to know if you're single, because we want to start pairing our people together, okay? And then Queen Therese. Look at Queen Therese. Queen Therese Millet Joseph. The first queen, the first couple that were the Pan-African couple is this couple. All right. Mr. Joseph and Queen Teresa, brother Ian Joseph Millet. Those are our first couples that Pan-African Daily actually, they came as a single couple. And each time that Teresa would be here, brother Ian would always be nosy, like, oh, what's he talking there? Who is looking? And be watching the chat. He will always be watching the chat if they commenting, oh, she's beautiful, oh, she's this. And she was just calling in the studio and like, she's my wife. Like, she's mine. And we were like, and yes. So, we've been having our couples that started. And Queen Therese is actually also running a very beautiful program, Metamorphosed the Queen. All right. You can find her on Facebook, on YouTube. She's also there. But she is really an expert in relationship, bringing us together to build this perfect family. You see, I think because she heard me now mention her topic, that's why she's showing her face, her beautiful face here. Yadi is also one of them. And so, yes, we're going to start our family movement of relationships and contact and connection. So I already received 2 profiles in our email. You got to be patient with that, because like we say, when we finish the international meeting in Germany, then we'll come up live with that. And we're still also putting the projects together. How we going to connect this? So we need expert, but we want real people. We're not going to be doing all those things. Send me your CV and then somebody connects somebody. No, you're going to come live here, express yourself. And I'm looking for this. I am this and this. This is my passion. I can cook fufu at any time, and for the queens, hey queens, I would give you, oh my goodness, hey, our kings know how to spoil. But the queens, when the queens want to spoil, everything is just about spoiling. Yeah, so our decade to just spoil one another with love and whatever thing we want to do. It's our space right now, okay? It's our space. So yes, we're going to do it. We're going to take it. Nobody's taking it back from us. So I just want to encourage you to know that if you don't see us come live every day or like we used to do, hey, to be honest with you, we are good, all right? Do you see here some echoes again? It's crazy, right? If you don't see us come live every day, we're in the background, we're working, we're putting all these structures. We want to get our satellite, we want to get everything that works for us. And yeah, and they're going to be also a lot of petition. We want to do petitions in Germany, our voices together, get signatures for it and send it to the AU and tell them, hey, we're watching, all right? And it's not going to be funny anymore. So yes, well, we have a lot to do. We're a civil society movement. It's not just about only presenting, celebrating our culture. Of course, that's the biggest part of it. But when we meet to celebrate, what do we do else apart from that? So we discuss. We eat together. All right. We present ourselves. I'm coming from this community from Canada. This is what I do. Oh, I'm so and so queen. This is what I produce. Oh, I'm this and this. I run this show. Yeah, we're going to meet. Okay. Even you, content creators, media in every sector, we're waiting for you. All right. We're waiting for you. So we see ourselves tomorrow again, people. Enjoy your day out there. Enjoy your day out there and be good and be nice. You remember the words of the king. He said, remember, and you can say it loud and loud. I am black and beautiful. Okay. So please do not hesitate. If you say it, mean it. Mean it means do it, show it, walk like one, talk like one, eat like one, dance like one, and do those things like one, like one that you are. So it's an affirmation. Okay. Thank you, Yadi Yadi. Thank you so very much. We're going to see us tomorrow. Please connect and I'll be looking who is going to be our guest. All right. So any of you in the chat, you want to be a guest? Yadi Yadi, you want to be a guest? Queen Millet, it's been a long time. If you're ready, please text me and let's meet tomorrow on a very, very exciting topic. Each time we miss ourselves, we're going to be cracking 4 hours. Like we're almost 2 hours 30, right? So yes, I'm a membership already from my official pages, not this page. And Nambia, you have to be on this page, okay? You have to be on this page. That's good. Thank all of you in the chat. You've been very brave. Thanks all of you that have been actually, proactive. I see you people here. Regina, Sister Regina Wilson, thank you so very much. Thank you so much. All the new besties, Sister Evelyn, all of you that joined, our brother Stanley, to accompany him here, please consider subscribing as we speak. Because we have very, very good, the spirit of us. We have fufu that we cook and serve here. And you can imagine we have all sort of fufu. We have the fufu from the Caribbean, from Haiti, from Timbuktu, from Brazil, from the Caribbean islands. We have it everywhere. Every day we serve the best fufu. On Pan-African Daily TV, we serve the best fufu. You will never hear that anyway. Imagine even if we're still going to be that kind of media that Stanley is promising us, we're still going to say this thing for full people. And you see now that the Caucasians are stealing your menus and try to act up and do some kind of fufu thing. To be honest with you, give them 10 years, you start thinking that fufu was an invention of the Eurasians. So we need to take our stuff. We can talk like we are joking. It's not a joke anymore. They're not done with taking rice from the Chinese. They're not done with taking their pizzas or kebabs or whatever. Now it's about fufu everywhere. Watch their medias. They do fufu. Some kind of fufu combination. I don't even know my head. I don't even know my head and my food. So what? So we're going to get a fufu party in Germany. Honestly, with all sorts of fufu. Whether it's yam fufu, a corn fufu, potatoes, what you people call mashed potatoes here, fufu, rice fufu. That's the only thing that they can never beat you. Fufu is just the consistent that is round, but we have all sorts on the continent of Africa. So when you take your yam and you take, I see them take raw plantains and take cassava and molly-nex it and then make it into a fufu and chop it. Of course, that's still a combination, but we have about 60 types of fufus. We're going to do the fufu, diaspora fufu. Diaspora fufu kitchen in Tübingen, Germany. Okay? Yes. All right. Those of you that will not attend, your siblings will wrap them and bring to you. And that's what I love about organic African food. We keep it and we warm it and we eat it. There, go and buy all these your junk things. It doesn't even last even for 2 minutes. You start seeing some kind of stuff. So yes, let's eat healthy, organic, what we cook, what we produce, what we farm, what we harvest. So every sort of that, we're going to display it in Germany and in the coming events to come. All right. Thank you. It's been a wonderful day. Like I said, I hate going because you keep coming. But of course, now, if you didn't know the dates for 2022 and 2023, I'm going to play image videos. The other ones are going to come out this week or next week about how you can register. But this was just save a date. And please, we do it in French and English because our French speaking Pan-Africans are actually complaining like never before. Pan-African Daily, we watch you with a pain. Like we want to struggle to listen because we keep saying, why do we favor it? Why do we favor English speaking? That's not even our language as well. So that's why when we do these commercials, we do it in French and in English. Okay? So.
Despite last year's 2002 challenges due to administrative and security constraints, Africa Festival Germany Tübingen, the African Diaspora Cultural Festival, Umoja wa Afrika, announces its epic editions 2023 and 2024. This year, from June 1st to 4th, 2023, the International Meeting of African Diaspora Intelligences in Germany, Tübingen. And next year, from June 6th to 9th, 2024, with new features and many surprises. So, save the date and be a sponsor. Can't wait to welcome you all soon, very soon in Germany, Tübingen. More info and registrations at www.africafestival-international.org. Malgré les défis liés aux contraintes administratives et sécuritaires de l'année 2022, Africa Festival Germany Tübingen, le festival culturel de la diaspora africaine Umoja wa Afrika, annonce ses dates pour les éditions 2023 et 2024. En 2023, du 1er au 4 juin 2023, rencontre internationale des intelligences de la diaspora africaine à Tübingen en Allemagne. Et en 2024, du 6 au 9 juin 2024, avec des nouveautés et plein d'autres surprises. Alors, notez bien les rendez-vous et devenez partenaires. Nous sommes impatients de vous accueillir bientôt, très bientôt, à Tübingen en Allemagne. Inscription et plus d'infos sur www.africafestival-international.org.
You are watching the Pan-African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tatah. The Africa we want. Unity, consciousness, our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherland's calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers on the Pan-African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa.